Hey guys, I'm Davina from Angelica Yarns, and in this video I'm going to show you how to understand yarn and hook sizes. Most projects or patterns will tell you the specific yarn or hook you need, but when making a project free-handed, you need to understand how the process works. Let's start by talking about yarn. The first thing you need to understand is that yarn comes in all different sizes. For most of my projects, I use regular worsted weight yarn. To know the size of the yarn, look on the packaging. There is usually words that display the thickness and a ball of yarn with a number in the middle for the size. Usually, the thinner the yarn, the more yarn you are getting. Chunky yarn is thicker, so there's usually less of it in a skein. If you put these two next to each other, it looks like they are the same amount of yarn. But this one is chunkier, so there's actually a lot less yarn here. This happens because the thickness of the yarn takes up a lot of space, making it look like there's a lot more yarn than there is. When determining which thickness to pick, keep a few things in mind. Projects made with chunky yarn work up fast, but usually they will be bulkier and heavier. Projects made with thinner yarn usually end up less heavy, but it really depends on your hook, tension, and the stitch you use. For some projects, you may want to consider buying yarn that changes color on its own. My favorite color changing yarn is Big Caron Cakes. I use these when I'm making blankets because it's easier than having to constantly change the color myself. Alright. Now let's talk about hooks. The hook you need will depend on your yarn and project. Bulkier yarn requires a larger hook. Most yarn will suggest a hook size on its label. Usually, I just use the size suggested on the label or the one suggested on the pattern I am following. Sometimes, I change it up depending on how loose I want my stitches. So, for example, this is an 8mm hook. If I want my project to work up faster, or I want my stitches to be looser, I would use this hook instead of the 5mm hook the yarn suggests. If I need my project to be smaller, I would probably use a size 3 or 4 hook, depending on how much smaller I need my project to be. Crochet hooks come in different materials. Some are made of metal, others are made of plastic or wood. I prefer metal hooks because they are sturdy and easy to work with. Some hooks come with a plastic grip. These are not better than regular metal hooks. They're just more comfortable for some people. It really depends on your preference. As a beginner, you should follow the suggestions made by the label of the yarn. Do not start experimenting with random sizes right away until you get more comfortable with crocheting. Thank you for watching.